without you. I got some help in here. Give somebody a high five. Tell the church to go on without you. As a matter of fact, we don't need folk who's negative and critical. You see, a lot of folk don't want to participate and get involved. They just want to sit back and criticize. Y'all gonna see that when you start pastoring. Can I get a witness in here? Give somebody a high five and tell them it don't matter whether it's a church, whether it's a home, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a school, a firm. You must understand that you have to learn how to work with one another and not against one another. Together we can. Husband cannot be fighting and feuding with the wife. Wife, vice versa, cannot be fighting and feuding with the husband. If you're going to have, watch this, a home rather than a house, you got to say, yes, we can. Can I get a witness in here? Give somebody a high five and tell them that's how it has to be done in a house. Can I get a witness? Even students in the school, you see the teacher already got it. His or hers. Now you have to work with them. Can I get a witness? Wait. Let me not just pause with the teachers. I want to talk to the parent. You got to understand, yes, we can. It takes the parent and the teacher. You can't leave all the work up to the teacher. Can I get a teacher? Got to be a social worker, got to be a psychiatrist, and also a babysitter. You have to understand before you get up out of your bed or drive up there in your car or SUV and say you're going to cuss that teacher out. You got to be careful. Your children are doing any and everything when they out of your sight. You need to tell that child, get yourself in that classroom, shut your mouth, sit down and listen to that teacher. If you're sitting by somebody that talk all the time, move their chair and their desk and put them somewhere else. If they call my house, blame the teacher for your child failing. Somebody high five. Tell me, teach fault. You don't never take time to come to the PTA meetings. You doing that homework for them. Can I get a witness? You can't fool the teacher. She know if you come on. Your handwriting. Come on, give somebody a high five and tell them we got to learn how to work together, parents and the teacher. Even in the home. But here, Caleb, brothers and sisters, he said plural, not singularly. He said in the essence, yes, we can. Watch this now. Listen what he said. Verse 30. And Caleb stilled the people. So that means if he had to steal the people, some folk was upset. That's right. Some folk were troubled. Some folk were confused. So you got to be careful. One little fox can spoil the whole vine. Can I get a witness in here? Just one little word of gossip. Oh, I'm going to take my time to preach. One little lie. Can I get a witness in here? One little half truth can stir up things in the church. One little doubter, somebody operating in unbelief, can cause other folk to behave and conduct themselves in like manner, because everybody in the church is not strong. There are some folk who are weak. Can I get a witness? And you can tell them any and everything, they'll run with it. Some folk quiet because they know I'm telling the truth. Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once. Don't wait. And possess it. For we are well able to overcome. Watch this now. First point I want to share with you is Canaan, the prize, don't miss this, promised possession. Look at somebody and tell them Canaan. The prize, promised possession. You have to understand, God put this vision in their minds. You do remember when they were in Egypt. And he sent Moses is to go down and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. You know the 10 plagues that occurred, and after that, Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and finally he let them go. Then he sent his men out. You know the story, how they pursued them, mountains on both sides and the Red Sea before them, and God blew, some school of thought said, through his divine nostrils, and the Red Sea parted and stood on both sides like cement walls, and they walked on dry shod and went on across the Red Sea. You know the story, how the waters folded back and drowned the Pharaoh's army, and then God fed them in the wilderness with manna, and he provided water for them. It was God who sustained them and even kept their clothes from getting old on them. It was God, brothers and sisters, who took care of Israel in the wilderness. Even when they complained and murmured, Sister Rogers, and grumbled, it was God who still had mercy on them. And now here they are standing at the borders of Canaan. God had promised them this land. Now watch this. You got to understand, brothers and sisters, you too, God has made a promise to you. Can I get a witness? Watch this. Look at somebody tell me God made a promise. Watch this. Caleb said, we be able. But the minority report came back and said, we went on the land, and they look like giants. And we look like grasshoppers. I'm going to help y'all out again. In our own sight. And in their sight. Don't miss it. You got to understand, my brothers and sisters, one saw grapes, but the other saw giants. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. They said in our sight. See, let me tell you something. You will never get the possession that God has promised to you when you always think small. I mean, wait a minute. Y'all ain't gonna. See, y'all getting quiet on me. Y'all don't want to work with me. Wait. Look at somebody. Tell them y'all got to hear what he's saying. See, you got to understand, brother and sister. The problem with many of us is that we see giants and we look at ourselves as grasshoppers. Can I get a witness? You have to understand that God, watch this, Sister Harris, has vowed a promise for you. Okay, you say God promised me a husband, but you gonna sit there, you're quiet. Think the husband gonna come knock? Oh, I think that'll wake you up. Give a sister a high five. Tell them I believe God promised. Some of y'all ain't gonna get a high five because you don't want one. Wait. See, if God promised you, see, he promised Israel a piece of property, a piece of dirt. But your promised land is a little different. Can I get some help in here? Perhaps God has promised you, brothers and sisters, that he's going to give you a house, he's going to give you a car, but you got to move beyond cars and houses and jewelry and stocks and bonds and clothes and husband and wife and recognize that our promise is not temporarily. Our promise is spiritual. Our promise is not this earth, but our promise is eternity. Y'all, come on, help. Give somebody a high five and tell them that's our promised land. I think some folk forgot that. You think that you're going to be here in that car and in that house and wearing those clothes and with that jewelry on your finger, bling, bling, shoes on your feet. You're going to die and leave all that. If that's my promised land, I got a problem with that. Can I get a witness in here? You got to understand, brothers and sisters, if God has promised you a business, y'all quiet. Well, give somebody a high five and tell them you have to let your children know God has a promised land for you. Yeah, you can even one day become the president of the United States. I'm going to take my time and preach. Yeah, you can become a mayor. You can become a congresswoman or a congressman. You can become a senator, a governor. You can become a teacher. You can become a fireman. You can become a police officer. You can become a professional chef. And even if you want to, a rocket scientist. Whatever your promised land is. But the problem, set back and preach, Jackson. The problem with many of us is that we want it easy. You got to understand that the promised land and the possession that God had for you, you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have some giants on that land. And just because the giants is on it, it doesn't mean that it's not for you. He had the Hittites and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites and the Canaanites that were by the Mediterranean Sea. But yet, in spite of the giants on that land, you got to be willing to possess it. You got to fight for it. God will give you the strength to size it. Oh, y'all ain't gonna help me. And the power to possess it. Can I get a witness in here? Watch this. Let me stand over here and talk.